Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you?
Buddy, doing okay for a rainy, miserable Wednesday.
I know it. You know what though? You don't have to shovel it. Now I realize that you guys need and want winter. I don't mind it though. My
Well,
dog wants it.
well, you were right. You know it's funny, but I think the whole area needs winter.
Yeah.
I mean, we count on a lot of winter tourism up here to do a lot of things. You know,
Yeah, I've said it before. It used to be where I wanted to like not have winter, but I like the four seasons. I really
uh,
do.
trust me, I much rather. If I could have summer and I could have winter,
How
like summer
fun!
and snow, I'd be a happy guy.
Wow, that's a good perspective. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. That's a great way of looking at it. I like it either way. It's funny. I used to think I was a spring guy, but anymore it's all rain.
Right,
You know?
right.
So I think it was the promise of summer is why I liked it.
Well,
Hey,
yeah. You're coming out of winter, you get a couple of teaser nice days. You know what I mean? You start thinking about summertime and being outside and that kind of stuff. But yeah, you get the mud season on both sides of winter, which is fall and spring, which I
yeah.
really don't care for. But I love summer and I love winter up here.
See, I love fall though.
I enjoy fall, like the Christmas in the air, the apples. You know what I mean? Like leaves dropping. You know what I mean? Like a little brisk. I like it too. But then it gets into the rain. I don't like that.
Yeah. Matter of fact, my wife and I got married in the fall. I think all my kids did too.
Huh.
So there's that. Well, Abby's not married yet. So hint, Nick. Anyways, hey, good stuff. Today we're going to talk about, should you buy a business and stuff. And I'm going to give a little perspective on even past clients. One just recent, it was a person that was looking for some direction, and she said she purchased this business off of a family member. And I'm going to come back to it, but one of the things that she did, she bought this business. She goes, Tim, I've never worked so hard. I go, welcome to entrepreneurship.
No, you're right. That's right.
But there is a smarter way, and we're going to talk about that. Matter of fact, starting next week, couple things. Number one, we submitted the podcast. As far as the podcast that's going to be on Spotify and iTunes. Good morning, Ken. How are you? And we got so many good things happening right now. Not to mention the AI stuff, which people that are part of the 52 Creator Challenge, we got some really cool things that are coming out inside Link Board. I'm sorry. But let's talk about, should you buy a business? I'm going to first give you my perspective, then if you could weigh in on it. Okay.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Linda right now. She purchased this business. I can't say what, because I didn't get her blessing on this yet. But she purchased this business and very mechanical, takes a lot of her time. And I said, well, you have to remember you purchased a job, and that's what you got to look at. If you're going to buy a business, I'm a fan of buying a business or purchasing a business, but there's some things I'm just going to weigh in at. I'm not an expert, but I'm going to, I did business turnaround for 23 years, and I've seen what not to do, and I've seen what works, what doesn't work. And I also saw the frustration of some business owners. And then I'm going to tell you a perspective of a gentleman that I sat down and had lunch with. I literally asked him, I said, out of all the things you own, which one do you think is the best? And he goes, believe it or not, and I didn't see this. I bought it on a whim, not a true whim, but he said he saw the opportunity. Ironically, somebody else that he didn't like was going to do it. And so he just made sure he owned it. And
Right.
it was a laundromat. I'm like, really? He goes, oh, if you could ever buy a laundromat, as long as it's good, it's in a great location. And then he gave me, and I took notes, brother. Have you ever done that? You sit
Oh
down
yeah.
with somebody, man, take those notes, because he really knew what he was doing.
Right.
So, when I sat down with one of my mentors, I was getting some business advice. He says, you want to be on the beginning of the train or on the tail? And he goes, it's always best to be on the beginning. So he goes, invest in yourself. Now, this is when I was 20 something, right? Invest in yourself first. And knowing that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, he goes, invest in yourself, create your own thing, build that into a lucrative business, and then you exit, which have you have to do. You exit, we're learning that now. And when you exit, then you take that money and you invest in these things.
Right.
I think of like Alex Hormozy, you know, oh man, he had some war stories. And that's another thing a lot of people don't realize. A lot of these people that you actually respect and inspire you probably have some pretty decent war wounds and
right. And war stories and experience, you know. I was going to say, like, you know, and I know we're going to get into this, and this is another fascinating topic, you know, because there are so many ways you can dice this one up.
Yes.
You know, like reputation of the business, baggage. There's so many rabbit holes we can go down with this thing.
It has a lot to do with that. Also, have you been in the business?
Right.
Again, I get this a lot about restaurants. If you've never worked in a restaurant, I would highly discourage you from doing it. Everyone thinks they can do it because they're good at cooking or whatever. The restaurant life is a different breed all of its own. I loved it. I worked in 4 restaurants.
Right.
And I loved the fast pace of it, especially the good ones. And I just liked it.
Right.
And but at the end of the day, it's not for everybody. The problem with it today is look at the competition.
Yeah.
You got to be really good at what you do because once again, the home cooks possibly a lot of them outcook the restaurants.
Right. Well, you know, and a restaurant, for example, the cooking's just a third of the equation.
Right.
You know what I mean? You might be an awesome cook and passionate about food, but if you don't have an ambiance, an atmosphere, a vibe, a culture, you know what I mean? Like, you know, whatever else, you know, you can be the best cook in the world. It might not work.
Yeah. And I'm going to plug a couple. Even my nephew does a great job with Pace's Pizza. Incredible job. But he was in that business. Like he used to work there. It's almost like a family business. His mom and his sisters, everyone worked in that business. So it works really well. And then he brought his vision. I think it's part of our DNA. His vision to it made it even better. So there's that. Like, look at it and could you make it better? John, how are you, brother? What's this? Let's see. Let's bring it up. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Big time. And that's hard today.
It is.
It's hard. Like, I feel the pain of these. Now, some of them get them because, like, Joey gets them. And here's another. I'm going to plug a couple of restaurants.
You know, I was going to say, like, if it's a great restaurant and they're making good tips, you're going to have great service.
Yes,
usually.
For sure. And part of the deal, we'll come back to that. Part of the deal is there's people that are making more money working from home. We'll come back to that. Working from home, doing their thing, right? And they realized that lifestyle is part of the mix now. It used to be back in the day, you had to work. You know, lifestyle came last. Like that was a luxury. Now today, most people demand it, right?
Right.
And I'm not against that, but that's just the truth. So going back to, so here's a couple, then we're going to get off restaurants. I didn't mean to go here, but it seems to be like the number one thing to want to start. So we got to go there. It's very hard. It's hard to, if you can get it under management, great, which we're going to come back to that. And, but at the end of the day, know this, that you're going to work 7 days a week. Like even when the restaurant's not closed, that's when you're buying produce and or whatever, right? You're getting all the things for the restaurant. So you just have to remember that. The other thing with restaurant is culture, like you said. Have you ever been to Creekside? Wait a minute.
You mean Riverside?
Riverside. I knew it wasn't right. Riverside.
Right. I have.
Fantastic.
You're right.
Do you like it?
Killer place. I do like it.
I was in there and good friends of ours, Annie and Dave, they're great. There's some people that are just so like you're like that. Like if you say, hey, you got to go, what was the one way down towards Allegheny? Pancakes. Your wife
Oh,
loves it.
Sprague's
Sprague's.
Maple Hill Farms.
There hasn't been anywhere that you've recommended that I did not love. So
Well,
I'll give you, do you know, like some people are like that? Annie and
Right.
Dave are
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. They're really good at, they just know and they find the gems. And one of them went out and oh my God, we were so depressed when it happened. It was called one moment, Chovies. Have you been there?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I used to go there all the time. They're closed.
I know.
I know.
Talk
But
about a restaurant to buy. Now,
Dude.
mind you, you would have to really learn that thing because what made them great?
oh my gosh. But no, coming back and forth to West Virginia and that being in Meadville, we stopped there at least once a quarter.
When I look at a restaurant, if somebody was to say, what restaurant possibly does millions, I would have put that on the list. I don't know what they made, but
Me too.
I would guess that it was pretty decent. They were aging though. So, they just,
Well,
it
was a pandemic closing. I think
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like like they closed a couple of years. I just think they're like, all right, we've had enough. You know what? And close because I mean I was in there all sorts of different days
yes.
at all sorts of different times, and it was always packed. Their lunch crowd was great, and their dinner crowd was great, and their Sunday crowd was great.
I wish I could have called them because I would have said, hey, don't do it. What they
Right.
should have done is reopen and then sell it
Oh, absolutely.
because they could have really killed it. And I know they would have had a buyer. I know
Right.
they would have had a buyer. That said, it is what it is. That's another thing I see people exit. Have you ever seen like a restaurant just exit wrong? Like they weren't thinking, like right now there's even CPAs, Ken's dad's a tax guy. They don't realize what they actually have. Like they don't think it's like sellable.
Their book of business is worth something.
Yeah, come on. It's called it's called customer acquisition. They're buying the customer, not necessarily your business or what it looks like or the logo. It has nothing to do with it. They're buying the customers what they're doing.
Right.
And it's worth money. So that brings me to the other point. First of all, you got to love it. Secondly, if it were me, if it's just a job, if you're purchasing a job, I probably wouldn't do that. What I would rather do is, can it be under management? So these are the questions I would ask. And we're not there yet. I'm investing in everything into my company and product.
We invest everything in ourselves.
Yes.
You
Now,
know?
here's the thing.
Right. Now.
We have a group that's wanting to purchase one of our programs. And, my goal is to get the subscription base up because obviously it's worth more. Remember, you got to take, when I was a negotiator, well, we're always a negotiator. We're still a negotiator. But in the negotiations, there's this thing that if they got you, meaning they have the leverage, they're going to probably have an advantage, right? And one of the ways to win an advantage, let's say somebody is wanting to buy a business. The first thing you need to do is be willing to walk away. The worst thing you could do, I remember when my wife and I were looking at a couple properties and I said, now maybe don't wear your emotions. Like they're going to read that, oh, I love the house or whatever, right? You just got to be able to walk away because that puts you in a different position.
It does.
And matter of fact, we have a program called Pitch Leaders that's going to come out this fall. Game changer, because it's literally changed my life once you understand these things. But at the end of the day, there's that. Then I never can be pushed in a corner. Like I just, that's kind of why I was able to build capital where we had it is I'm always willing to walk away. Like you can't get me. Like it's not going to happen. And when you have that position, it really works about that way. Better than that is being in a better position, meaning now they feel like you have the upper hand. now it's your game, right? So
Right.
the best way to do that, like for instance, if it's a restaurant and they have a vacancy problem, you got to fix that vacancy problem. Once you fix the vacancy problem, meaning getting butts and seats and getting a full crowd, especially Friday, Saturday, now the value of that restaurant goes up. So where was I going with this though? With value. Once we exit. So I don't know about you. We're gonna spotlight some of what we see going on. I think it's gonna help serve everyone that tunes into Biz Morning, which just I've been up since 2 a.m. working on this thing. I'm not gonna go into the thing that we're working on, but we have a whole marketing campaign that's sick, like in a good way, like just insane, life-changing. I believe in our products, right?
Right.
I think it's life-changing. I think it's life-changing for those that want to be affiliate marketer, right? Which we're going to come back to that in a moment too. But at the end of the day, I got to put in the work. But eventually these programs, to get where I'm going with this, like I believe the new me, the 55-year-old me, looks at business, looks at everything way different. And the way I would look at it now is how much time of my own time is going to be in this thing? What is it going to demand of me? We only have so much time to give every day. And we have family, unless you don't want to see your family. I kind of want to see, so you only have so time. So if we're me in the future, we exit, I'm going to invest in certain things. Is it going to be a laundromat? I don't know. Maybe. I will tell you this. It's on the list. Do you have a list of what you might invest in someday? Like, do you have this someday list? Like, you know what? I want to look into that, like laundromats.
Yeah. No, I do have a short list.
Awesome. Yeah, mine is short.
Right.
To some degree.
Right. I would say it's like it's no more than 5 things.
What you know what I see right now, the movement. So you have these guys. I'm seeing something else that I don't like though. They made their way and then they shit on how they got there. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, no,
I don't like that.
I don't like that at all.
Susie, good morning. Ooh, wait till you see the training tonight, Susie. This one's pretty good. But so I'm going to go back to my mentor. He goes, Tim, you know what? If I was to start over, because he was a lot older than me, I see. So he was a visionary too. So this is before like where internet is now, and matter of fact, it was just starting to really get going. No YouTubers yet. Matter of fact, I would bet you at this moment, it was the 2 guys that own YouTube that eventually sold it to Google for $1 billion, right?
Right.
So there's that. You got to look at the new way of business today.
Right.
Ooh, let's put that up. Oh, yes. Awesome. Tonight, there's going to be a shift. Trust me on that. You'll have the direction. Like tonight's that shift where things get going for you. Trust me on that. Matter of fact, that was the mind shift for me that changed everything, which I'm going to be training on tonight. I have big ideals for this year for myself. I know you do as well. Everyone has their own goals, but I want to do this. This is why I wanted to talk about this, because I'm seeing everywhere. I'm seeing in groups that I'm in. As you know, I meet on Saturday, and a lot of them, they're constantly requested, and they go, I get the same stupid questions all the time. And what people don't understand is they really need to invest in themselves first. And what's really cool, I believe, this is what I believe right now. If you could invest in yourself first, create something that you create, knowledge, or it's a product idea, kind of like Grub Guys, whatever it is. Maybe you're going to teach gardening. That's a huge one right now. I know you'll do. There's a vertical. I don't know if you know this. When I bought this farm, my ADD is horrible, dude. Do you remember the bouncing ball on?
Oh yeah.
That thing would be like this. Anyways, going back, when I was here, I'm like, I envisioned this hydroponics. Okay. And then there's hydroponics. I mean, there's all these things that you grow food. I'm super interested in it. It's just got enough science that makes my blood go. And I just love the whole thing. I love everything about it. Mechanical.
Right.
So do you see what I mean? I put
Yeah.
it on the list, but it's failing a couple things. But there's a fix for that. I'm going to come back to that.
Right.
So going back to my mentor, he's like, this goes way back in. Invest in you, create your own thing first, look for an exit. You got to sell it. Don't keep it. Go. We only have one life.
Right.
And it's kind of like an hourglass, you know, that sand keeps dripping to the second part of the glass. Right. So he said, what you do is he said this 20 years ago, like now you're really hearing that now. And you and I are seeing some of them like Alex. And there's a point when you hit a certain spot in your business career, nobody can take that away from you.
Right.
The knowledge you can't, I mean, as long as a cinder block doesn't hit your head. I mean, as long as you're fine, nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can take your drive away from you. Nobody can take your experiences away from you. All of the education that you learned, how to how to pivot when you need to,
right.
How to weather storms. I've weathered at least 2 major, 9/11 and couple recessions, right?
Right.
So nobody can take that away from you. So invest in yourself, knowledge, and then of course skill. You gotta have skill. And then when you sell that skill, eventually you're gonna make money. Then you start investing in things that make income streams. But if it were me, so this is what business would I purchase? First, it would be, I would create my own thing. Then I would look for opportunities, but it's got to be to where you can put it under management.
Right.
If it doesn't pass that test, I don't think I'm going to be interested in it. With the exception of the hydro, now that comes to the next, unless it's a hobby-based business. And could you still put it under management? If the answer is yes, so you got to figure it out. Can you?
Right.
Restaurants are a little harder depending on the deal. But at the end of the day, can you put it under management? And if you can't put it under management, what is the revenue? So with the hydroponics, there's so many different revenue streams. I'm not going to get into it, but there's just so many that it warrants it. And it's a love thing. So if you really love what you do, then it just doesn't matter. And as long as your incomes or your expenses are taken care of, who cares? This year is a turning point for us because, we were creating, oh my God, I've been investing in a lot of this stuff for years. But you and I together, 4 years? This year will be third, fourth?
Like fourth or fifth.
Fourth. Yes. Counting GeekLink, yeah, definitely 5 or somewhere in there. Anyways, it's a long run. But here's what I love about it is you look at the ones that are getting the big exits. If you were to go back in time, and this is what I highly recommend that people do. Some people are just always chasing that shiny object.
Right.
Shiny object. And it's kind of funny. Dennis Brown, great guy. To know him, you'll like the guy. He just announced, I didn't know this about him, but he's got a 50,000 following now. Prior to that, I knew him from, I guess he was locally known. I didn't know him from there. I knew him. He was doing a training program, and a buddy of mine says, hey, do you know this guy? I don't know him. You guys need to know each other. And we did it that way. And he's doing great things. And what he's doing is he was teaching LinkedIn, which I'm sure he did well with that. But what was really his product is what he really knew well. And that's this trucking industry that I had no idea it existed. I had no idea that. So think about those pocket niches that are out there. Like that was a niche that I just didn't know. I want to say it was like a freight broker. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You what?
Yeah. I got a buddy that does it.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Can you just give me the skinny on it? Like just in like a minute or less. What
So
is so give me the idea of what that is.
so basically, like a business, I mean, like a business that has a load that needs to go somewhere, but doesn't have their own trucks, can contact a freight broker
Why
who,
not just call the freight company?
well, you can, but you
Oh,
know what I mean. But obviously, you can call a freight company, but there's also independent guys, that represent a bunch of independent truckers, that pick that do loads, but it's all on pricing. Maybe you know this guy's coming back empty from somewhere is going to give you a good price on, you know, like say you had to pick up something in Montana
okay.
and bring it back to here. Well, a freight company, for example, might charge you to go out to Montana, pick it up, and bring it back. Where
Wow.
he might find a trucker coming from Montana back, just pick it up. He's already made his money on the way out, and wants to make some money on the way back. That would give a better price or that kind of stuff. But like
Gotcha.
it's all based on pricing.
Isn't
But
that something I never knew existed? That's what he does. But you see, though, he comes from that industry. He already had that knowledge. And I think he shifted. It's like, no, I'm going to teach that. In 50,000 followers on YouTube, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. At
oh
that
yeah,
point, you're getting brand companies wanting to sponsor you and stuff like that. Like, it's a pretty cool thing. But what's cool about it, though, is he took his knowledge, he created a program, and I believe he said that he sold 10,000 members into a course. Now, do the math. I don't know what he's selling it for. Okay.
right.
And if somebody's interested in that, it's not my thing, but if somebody's like interested in it, go check him out, Dennis Brown. But at the end of the day, he's good at what he does, very likable, very good a great educator. The guy's one of the best, in my opinion.
Right.
I just think he teaches very well. But here's the deal. So 10,000 people have taken his course. I think he's making money.
Oh yeah, no,
That's
sure.
what I'm talking about. Like, and that being said, there's some people that are on these platforms, and I'm not going to say I would discourage it. Just know that you're now in competition. So if it were me, I would always have my own course where its own domain. You write the rules. Some places they don't let you link out or whatever. I know with our program, we let people link. We're here to make you grow. We want you to be successful.
Right.
The more people know about you, the better, the likelihood of success is going to be there. So I just think it's better if you own it. And I'm assuming that's what he does. So anyways, moving on. Let's see. Anything else on that?
No, nope.
Okay. So now let's talk about, so the first thing is, if you're looking to buy a business, I would highly recommend invest in yourself first. Make your own thing. Do you have knowledge to sell, that sort of thing? Because you can make a lucrative business out of that. And then if you were to create a business, you look for an exit, just like some of the stuff that we do. Same thing. Now I have a different brain. You level up as you go. Remember the thing that we were teaching, the stacking?
Right. Oh yeah. Yep.
Once you're in that top part, that's when you're thinking differently,
Right.
But the idea is you look for the exit. I had a back, oh my God, 2016, I was offered 600,000-700,000 for I'm not going to say the name of it. And I was like, it's worth more than that. Be careful of that too. You really need to sometimes let something go. Case in point was like MySpace. And, the good news is I do think it's still worth more than that, but at the end of the day, I probably should have sold it because that would have gave me revenue for,
Other things. Right.
Yeah. So you learn your lessons too. You got to learn your lessons. All right. So where do you find businesses for sale?
I mean, depending on your field, there's all kinds of places. You know what I mean? Whether it's word of mouth, you know what I mean? If it's a digital asset, obviously, like, there's programs and websites, out there to just list businesses for sale. I mean, realtors, depending on what it is. You know what I mean? Like, there's a ton of.
there's a thing called business brokers.
Yeah.
And one is Biz Buy Sell. The other one is it's Biz, B-I-Z, buy, sell. And matter of fact, the Biz Room, that's what it was originally going to be, is a hub because there was things that weren't being done there. And I had a lot of customers, clients that needed to sell their company. So we had to figure out ways to be able to get them a buyer. And but it morphed into a podcast type thing back then, in an education center. But anyways, Biz Buy Sell. The other one is businessbrokers.net. That's
Right.
unfortunately though there's a lot of this work from home stuff. Not that I'm against work from home, but a lot of those things are scams. You got to just be very careful of that and as to what that could be. But you could go there, a lot of restaurants. But once in a while, you'll find that anomaly where it's a business to where you could put under management, like a vending type company or a laundromat. I'm trying to think of some others. The ones that I would stay away from are the ones that you see that there's an exit, like they're not doing as well. So you got to do your vetting, making sure that it's still lucrative to want to buy it.
Right.
You know? Do you know what I think is going to come back?
What's that?
Roller skating.
You know, it's funny. We were just talking to a guy about that yesterday.
No way.
You know, well, it's funny because rollerblading, like or inline skating is kind of dead,
Yes.
but roller skates are making a comeback.
Yes. And they're like trending on Amazon.
Yeah.
Then TikTok and John, this is a good one. By the way, this is on my list. Wait, coin card based car wash. Not sure what that is, but a car wash is on my list as future possible investments.
Right. Well, it's saying like automatic, like either put the card in or pay with coin, maybe.
Oh, I don't know.
Like an automated car wash is kind of what I'm assuming.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, self-operated. Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, they're big down south. We've gone through a few of them. And I don't know if you ever saw that one that went haywire, that went viral. Oh my gosh. It gave me a PTSD. I don't think I'd ever go through. So yeah, anything self-operated obviously is great. Or you get a manager. One thing about like a laundromat, you just get somebody like an attendant, let's be honest, low wage. And at the end of the day, the thing, and then you can purchase maintenance agreements and all sorts of creative ways to keep those machines going. You lease them, never buy. That's my opinion. And you lease them out. This way, you never have to purchase a new one. You swap out as needed. It's all based on revenue, know? And there's so many. Matter of fact, I would love to, because we have people in our group, not the Link Boss group, but the business group that I have that meet. I would love to have certain key players come in and explain what they do at what level, because it's a mind shift for sure. You can't put a price tag on it.
Right.
Anyways, okay, so where to find them? I would go to a like business brokerage, Biz Buy Sell, stuff like that. Word of mouth.
Right.
That's your best bet, is the pocket listing type stuff, because now
that's right.
You're beating the competition. Maybe a family has a business that you wouldn't mind owning. Once again, though, make sure that it could be under management, because now you're looking for another one. The other thing I would try to do is, how can you get in there with no money down, where you just take it over and it's you pay them monthly? Believe it or not, there are people that would be willing to do that, depending on the business.
Right.
Or maybe it's a little down payment, but there's a lot of businesses, maybe not today because, things are good, but there could be,
Right. No, you're right though, because some people want some money down, but want some money spread out over time for tax reasons and and income down the road and that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of agreements that you'd be surprised at some of the agreements you can come up with if you're creative.
Exactly. There's even creative ways to financing your own thing. so many creative ways that we'll share. Okay, which ones are best? We went over that, and but again, I would definitely start out, invest in you, your own thing, and then once you sell, that's another thing. Like, would you ever buy a business that doesn't have a sellable? Is that a word? That Clint actually resell?
No, I don't think so.
Like, for instance, a barber. Well, maybe they could sell that. Yeah, a hairdresser could sell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. I've seen the barbershop sell. You know what I mean? Because it's still about the book of business, and the clients already come there.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
up to them to retain them. You know?
Yeah, especially if there's staff there, like if it's a one-man show.
Right.
I would just be careful in investing in anything that doesn't have a possible exit. Unless it's like a course. Obviously, who's going to buy so if you're selling knowledge, that's a revenue stream, that's big swings of income. It's still a business. It does take you though, like Tony Robbins.
Right.
I don't think Tony Robbins could sell the Tony Robbins
The brand.
like him,
Right.
the public speaking thing,
No.
but he does own other companies that his name might be attached to it, but it's the thing that makes it valuable, not him.
Well,
Does that make
that's,
sense?
well, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, 100%. Like, I know. We talked about it the other day, but like, what's he own? 100 or 300 companies, other companies.
I still don't
like,
know how that's I
you-
know that he does, but
Right. Right. I'm just saying, like, that's what we
Yeah.
read or heard or
oh no, it's fact. Yeah,
right.
he really does.
Right. So he started investing in himself with his own brand, but obviously he knows he can't sell himself or his brand. But so
Right.
then he moved, has invested in all these other companies that can be bought or sold or hold on to or whatever, or
Exactly.
he has a piece of.
This is that whole stacking. That's the piece that we're not there yet.
Right. Right.
Because I look at just imagine 100 company.
No, it's crazy.
How do you know that you're not getting ripped off? How do you know, like, because
Right.
you hear it all the time. Oprah got ripped off. Dave Ramsey got ripped off.
But you assume with a guy with that kind of success probably has a staff
Yes.
of you know what I mean, upper management,
he
upper
really
managers,
does.
middle managers, account. You know what I mean, like
And then
a
I just
staff of-
assume that he's going through every business to see what it's doing.
right, right.
And if it's not performing,
It was funny because I always laughed. A friend of mine had dad's had 43 stores
oh wow.
at one point. Never there were 10 he never went to. Just never visited ever.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, how can you know what I mean? Like, how is that even possible? Like, how can you do that? He's like, listen,
Management.
I got good managers now. Back when I was beginning, I went to every store. You know what I mean? But now I there might be 5 stores I go to just because you know what I mean? He goes, I got managers to take care of the other stores.
That was one of the mind shifts for me. Is one of my mentors said, Tim, when you get to here, you hire a CEO. You'll see companies where you'll see them take like a CEO that used to be with PayPal. You know what I mean? So
Right.
they got to be a star. It's kind of like football. Business works like football. Does it or does it not? Like it truly does. Like offense, defense, like everything.
Right.
Team members, strategy, the playbook.
No, for sure.
But at the end of the day, what does a team want? They want a stellar quarterback,
Right.
and so but they want the coach. So the
Right.
coach would be like the CEO, if you will. And the owner just rakes in the money. Like, let's be honest, like he's got the CEO that manages the place. Some of them might be the CEO, but a lot of them, they're just the owner.
Right.
Like they just own it. And I don't want to say just, but you get it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
So they own it. And then they have all the managers. So if you even look how they run that, you can learn a lot from that. But for me, I'm not there yet. Like I am the CEO of Sparterra, but someday I'll get a CEO that looks over all of it and hopefully a star type that's really good. You don't want somebody exactly like you. We learned that. But that's just how it's done. All right. Is there any questions? So tonight's training is, once again, this is where the shift starts when it comes to creation and getting it flushed out to where you're going to launch it.
Awesome.
Anyways, all right. I think it's it. If there's no questions, hey, by the way, is there anybody like you're stuck on something, like you just want some feedback? Feel free to put it in there. If not, also if this is a replay in the Facebook group, just hashtag replay. And if you have a question there, you just put it in there and we should be able to see it and be able to address it. All right. D,
Yep. Hey,
any parting words?
No, another great topic, man. So.
Yeah, and if there's anything that we haven't really covered, you guys give us some ideas. Susie, see you tonight. Feel free to do that.
Right. Yeah, like you said, if there's something that you want us to talk about, put it in there too. You know what I mean? Like hit us up.
Absolutely.
We're always open to suggestions. So.
Yeah, because listen, not everybody is gets it all right, but one thing that we love is the idea of being connected, and getting these high level people that are also going to be trainers as well. By the way, 2.0 launches Saturday or Monday, which is Linkboard.
Yeah.
That's a game changer.
That's exciting.
When the AI gets in there, dude, like, holy smokes. Right. I've always wanted to clone myself on a lot of stuff. This helps with that. And it's not just the Dolly stuff that you're seeing right now. It goes beyond that.
Sweet.
Hey, would you ever get the chip? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Starlight.
Right.
Would you do it? Would you sign up?
I don't think so.
No?
Not yet.
I told my wife if I saw proof, it would be really cool to just always have recall. Like the idea is it'd be like your intelligence goes up and you don't forget anything. Like you can recall anything and everything. That's the premise of it.
Right.
But they have to actually, I believe, remove a portion of your skull and then put it back.
Yeah. I just, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not there yet.
I'm probably willing to do it if, once again, that I saw that it. I don't know. Can you imagine if it like changed you though? Like,
well, dude,
then you're screwed.
Right. There's a whole other. Yeah. No.
All right. We'll see you guys
we'll see
tonight, and otherwise, see you on the next podcast.
Yep. See you, everyone.